the story of the season so far for the Mets has seemed to be their inability to have run support. It seems to be a problem for them consistently. Great pitching, from DeGrom and now from the other options in the rotation, it isn't an issue, but capitalizing on those opportunities seems to be tough for them. Coming into today's game against Philadelphia, the Mets didn't have a single player hitting over 240 besides Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo, of course, has been great these first couple games, but him hitting 435 and everyone else hitting under 240 is just not where you'd like to be as a team. So just to get things started in regards to the Mets, the baseball team of New York over in Queens, I know they're dealing with some injuries in their rotation, but in regards to the other aspects of their team, how are you feeling about them, especially as the season goes on, in terms of how they can just bring the run support for guys like DeGrom?
Yeah, I'm a little optimistic. Certain guys are really thriving, Brendan Nimmo, like you said, but we're still waiting on some of the better hitters in the lineup, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, to step it up. So when those guys really start to get the bats going, I think then you're really going to be excited with the product that's going to be on the field. And that will come later in the season. But what you like to see is guys like DeGrom, which we knew were going to come out and dominate, and especially Stroman, who's been excellent this season. Having those two guys be great has been a really, really good stepping stone for the Mets. So you got to be confident if you're a Met fan. The bullpen problems are without a doubt there. But that does not mean that you still can't be a good team, especially in the NL East. I think that when the bullpen comes around and then hopefully when the bats start to heat up, they might be a real problem in that division.
Right. We saw the Mets play 2 games yesterday against the Phillies, had a doubleheader here in Queens at Citi Field, won the first game in the 8th inning, 4-3. Of course, we have the shortened games when we do have doubleheaders, only 7-inning games, but a 3-3 tie at the end of the 7th prompted an 8th inning. The Mets were able to score a run, win that first one 4-3. The second game, a bit more impressive showing from New York. They pitched a shutout 4-0 in the second win against Philadelphia. Did those 2 games provide a signal to you for the team, a signal of hope? As you said, you did have some optimism. For me personally, I was watching those games, and the first game had me nervous. Man, the first game, that especially, it was tied there at the end. As I said, I'm a Mets fan, so that's not a game that I'm watching impartially. But that game had me nervous. It felt like the Mets had themselves in not as good of a position as they should have been throughout the entire contest. It just felt like the play deserved to represent or be represented differently by the score. However, they were able to pull it out by the end in typical Mets fashion, of course, giving everyone a near heart attack in the process. The second win, much more smooth. The team really got things rolling, and that second game had me feeling a little more confident in the squad. Stroman looked great. He's incredibly fun to watch. That might be a black Stroman jersey. Might be in the cards, Mike. It's looking like it with the way that guy plays, and just the not dominance, but it was a pretty unfair game. It was well played by the Mets. It provided some confidence in regards to my doubts in their abilities to provide run support to their pitchers. I don't know. How do you feel about those 2 wins yesterday against Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think you're definitely feel good about those wins. I think it's nice to see the Mets win a close one, especially that late in the game, because in past years, even this year, they're notorious for blowing late leads and for losing games that are all tied up going into the ninth. So a win like that always needs to motivate you if you're a Met. And like I said earlier, especially with guys on the team that you're still waiting to start hitting, like Jeff McNeil, a guy you rely on for average, hitting below 200 this year. Michael Conforto, another guy below 200. So when you got guys like that aren't hitting, and then you can squeeze out a win like that, that's always got to make you feel good. It does really flare up some problems, though. You still have to iron out some things, especially with that bullpen, like I mentioned earlier. Guys like Trevor May have not performed as great as you wish you would have, especially when you bring in a guy like that. He was your lefty reliever that you really hoped would have come in and get you to the ninth or close to there with a lead. So that is remained to be seen. So I think those things you really want to address if you're a Met fan or if you're in the front office, but you still got to feel confident. And then, like you said, to come out of the next game and to shut them out is definitely impressive. So it's definitely a confidence booster, but you'll learn a lot from the game. And I think that's what the Mets hopefully will do from here on out.
Right. In regards to McNeil, who you brought up, I think you're right to say that they need more out of him. However, I don't think I'm too worried myself. I think he's getting a little unlucky, to be honest. And he's just, he's someone who you can count on for that production. He is hitting very poorly to start the year. I think it's tough though to get in a groove when you play 5 games in 12 days. So, a strange scheduled start due to COVID delayed games might have contributed to a rocky start for guys like McNeil. I'm impressed by someone like Alonso bringing a more patient approach to the plate. Again, Alonso, someone else you brought up as someone that the team might be looking at to bring them some more production. I think that might come as the season progresses and he's able to get in a bit more of a groove. Again, the schedule has just been weird to start out the year. So these guys are talented, and I don't think it's unfair to just be on the side of thinking that they can put it together. The Mets are also waiting on, Syndergaard, Carrasco, these guys to come back healthy. Their rotation can be really scary when they do get those guys back. Just, man, DeGrom, Syndergaard, Stroman, you've got this plethora of talented pitchers on your roster. I don't know if it'll be enough, though. I don't know. It'll be tough. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a guy like Seth Lugo is another person that's going to come back and be a good arm out of the pen for the Mets. And you mentioned Syndergaard earlier. Hopefully you get him back and he's throwing strikes. That's always a big question mark with Syndergaard. But I do think that there are a lot of positive with this Mets team. I think another is Dominic Smith. I mean, he was the kind of guy that was really good for the Mets when they had the option of a DH. That, of course, was taken away after the shortened season last year. So there were many question marks on where you fit a guy in like that. Well, he's in left now. He's playing a lot of left field. Originally a first baseman, really, but since Alonso there and you lose the DH, he's going to be playing left more. And he's been pretty good there, and his bat showed in the last couple of games with the homer. So I think that is really promising for the Mets. And they're starting to put it all together. We're really short into the season, so a lot can go wrong, especially if you're a Met fan, you know that. But there is optimism, and I think when you start to get guys back from injury, hopefully you stay healthy, and then the Mets should be a team that can contend for the wild card. I think the division's asking for a lot, but if everyone's healthy and then the guys like Lindor and McNeil get back on track, then they're going to be a team to be feared.